Welcome back and thank you for staying with us on News Central now. Joining me to discuss the budget padding allegations and the suspension of Senator Abdul Ningi is Jide Ojo. He's a public affairs analyst. Hello, Jide. Thank you so much for joining me. Good morning.
Good morning. It's a pleasure.
All right, so let's hear your reaction to the whole budget padding allegation saga and also the fallout from it.
Thank you. I guess it's so unfortunate where someone who is as educated and as who is a ranking member of the Nigerian Senate will make allegations that is bringing the institution of the Nigerian legislature to public disrepute. What is the whole essence of granting that interview? You are playing the ethnic card. You said Tinubu administration is enough. You said that 3.7 trillion could not be found, could not be matched. There is no project cost and location. Meanwhile, a rookie who is just a fresher in the National Assembly will know that budget document is calibrated into different parts. There is what is called the capital expenditure and then the recurrent expenditure. You cannot have a recurrent expenditure in the form of project. So it goofed on that count. Two, even if there were to be any padding, who did the padding? It is the National Assembly. The president submitted a budget of 27 trillion to the Senate on November 29. And by the time this Nigerian National Assembly was returning the same budget to the president on January 1, they have increased it by 1.2 trillion. So that's what jacked the cost up to 28.7 trillion. Now, leave that aside. Talk about padding. From time immemorial, members of the National Assembly have always put something in the budget for their constituency project. And it doesn't come to me as a surprise that some got, some didn't get. It's the power of appropriation. However, the fault is from both the executive and the legislative arm. Why did I say this? Did you know that the budget of 2024 is over 2,000 pages long? And the president submitted the budget proposal late on November 29 and asked the National Assembly to expeditiously pass the budget before the end of the year. So invariably, the National Assembly had barely 1 month to pass a budget of that volume, 2,000 pages long. So there is no way they could have done a thorough job because they were running against time. What they even did was to quickly organize what they call public hearing and transcomputing, where they invited some few individuals. At the end of the day, they were flying blind. They didn't have time to study in detail what the proposal from the executive
all right, now, Jide,
is.
talking about not having enough time to study the details of the budget, in your view, are there any broader implications of this, when it comes to budget transparency and accountability in Nigeria?
It's a strong issue. It's a strong issue that we have turned budgeting to hollow ritual that, the executive always gets away with due murder, not implementing fully the budget. And we have always run budget of deficit. If you look at the budget, like I said on another platform yesterday, here we are. The National Assembly padded the budget, pardon my use of word. They increased the budget from 27.5 trillion to 28.7 trillion, 28.77 trillion. Now, they increased the amount for some agencies of government. But The president did just the same way as the National Assembly did not have time to look critically at the budget. The president also signed a budget that he didn't read, neither did any of his aides read. So the devil is always in the details. And the system, some members of the parliament who are powerful may have inserted one thing or the other that will not be. So when Abdul Ningi was talking of, many duplicated projects and all of that, it is always like that every year. Pick any year's budget. If you bring Shewoni Bide to your studio, Shewoni Bide is the executive director of budget. It's an NGO based in Lagos. Go and read budget report over the years, whether at the federal or state level. It has always faced this issue of transparency and accountability. So we are not where we ought to go. We are not where we ought to be with budget transparency and budget accountability. Right. It has always been enmeshed in all manner of controversies because of the selfish, parochial, and self-aggrandizing interest of the political elite of Nigeria.
All right, Jide. Now, there are also insinuations that Senator Ningi's suspension might be politically motivated and that his party affiliation, that's being a member of the PDP, might have played a role in how the case was handled. What's your perspective on this?
I don't believe that. I don't believe that. He overreached himself, first by granting that interview. From what I learned yesterday, he initially raised the issue with the leadership and president of the Senate, what's his name now? Promised to look into that issue. Before there would be an official response to his complaint, he went to the media and was playing the ethnic card. So and you could see that as at Monday, many of his colleagues from northern Nigeria dissociated from his position. So he was on his own. If he were to be a member of APC, the same thing would have been meted to him. It's about discipline. And the National Assembly has the right to discipline any of his erring members. You can see that even when he was given opportunity to defend himself, he was still insistent on his position. And to that extent, I think it has nothing to do with whether he was a member of PDP, Labour, or NMPP. Okay. It's about bringing the institution of legislature to public ridicule, public opprobrium. That's the punishment. And you could see that initially the motion was for him to be suspended for 1 year. Another person moved motion for 6 months. Another moved motion for 3 months. And eventually the voice vote upheld the position of those who want him to be suspended for a quarter, which is 3 months. Okay. So I'm not sure it has to do with his party affiliation in this regard.
All right. Now, just before we let you go, Jide, what precedent would you say this case has actually set for the handling of future allegations of budget padding?
Again, that's the more reason why there should be discipline. That's the more reason why Abdul Ningi needs to be called to order. Because, this has set a very bad precedent. Although he is not the first senator to be suspended, it has happened in time past, both in the upper and lower chamber. So, but it is also to serve as a deterrent to those who want to drag the institution of Nigerian legislature, which is an arm of government, to ridicule, to think twice before they start. I mean, people like us who are public affairs analysts may say things, we may goof, but for somebody who is inside, who is part of the ruling elite, because whether you are in opposition or you are in government, you are part of the ruling elite. After all the largesse that they have been sharing, he has also been sharing in those largesses. That's why the fact that he belongs to the opposition. So to that extent, you could see that even the Senator Ali Ndume said he called Ningi and told him he was wrong. So to that extent, I think in future, others will exercise caution before they start, granting press interview that may drag the institution of legislature to public ridicule. I think that's the lessons for everyone. And all of us must also, and that's why it's also very important for NABRO to be established. What is NABRO? National Assembly Budget and Research Office, which is now a private member bill before the National Assembly. When they have NABRO, that's National Assembly Budget and Research Office, that will also help in dissecting and calibrating budgets and the public will be better educated about budgeting process and the implications. And even members of the assembly will have the opportunity to get facts and figures about not only the current budget, but previous budgets when that office is eventually established. So it's a good precedent. It tells you, even the Bible says where there is no sin, where there is no sin, where there is no law, there is no sin. So there is law governing the institution of Senate, and any one of his members that had to be disciplined. And that's exactly what has happened with Ningi. But I think it's a moral lesson for all of us, whether outside of the institution or within the institution, to always exercise caution when we are making statements in the public domain.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jide Ojo, Public Affairs Analyst, for joining me and speaking on this. We appreciate you for your time.
My pleasure. Please keep safe. Yeah, cheers.